let's talk about Miss Marvel episode 3. And not to bury the lead, but I love this show. I don't think that any MCU show, I'm thinking back to WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight. I don't believe I'm missing one, right? WandaVision, Falcon, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight. Yeah, Miss Marvel. This is easily the strongest first 3 episodes. I think that from episode 1 to episode 3, the quality varies very minimally. Sort of the regression, if there is any, or even the progression. I think that the deviation between the episodes is so minimal, and I am just loving this show. As I mentioned in last week's review, this show really reminds me of one of my favorite sitcoms, Kim's Convenience on Netflix, a Canadian show about a Canadian-Korean family who has a convenience store starring Simu Liu. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. If you're enjoying this show, you will enjoy Kim's Convenience. But anyways, this show is phenomenal because of the way that it treats its characters and treats its story. This is, for the first time, I think we have a show by episode 3, by the halfway point, where we actually kind of feel like it's the halfway point, because we have our central conflict established, we have our central characters established, we have their motivations, we have their interpersonal relationships, and all of that has been beautifully set up in 3 episodes. Unlike Moon Knight, which was, trying intentionally to confuse you for the first 3 episodes, and it did. And, I think that show works better, that format rather works better of confusing you in the mystery if the show is longer. I think WandaVision was longer, and that's why it worked a little bit better. The first 3 episodes were a very slow build, obviously, to the mystery of episode 4 being revealed. The first 3 episodes of Loki were a little frantic. First 2 episodes were great. Episode 3 I really dislike. I don't even remember Falcon and Winter Soldier. Don't even ask me to remember what happens in each episode. It's just a blur. Sam becomes Captain America. That's that's what and also the great political sort of discourse in the show as well. But other than that, I mean, the first 3 episodes of Hawkeye were just fun. They were cute, but there was nothing really there. But this show, it just is unparalleled, at least for the MCU so far, of how it cares about its culture, showing this Muslim culture that many of us might be unfamiliar with, and giving it such reverence to the family, to the culture, to the history, tradition. This wedding, by the way, it was just awesome. It's just so great to be able to see this kind of stuff, and you saw it again with Shang-Chi in China. You saw it a little bit in Moon Knight with Egypt, and I think Marvel delving into different cultures, I just think is awesome. I think it's great. I think this is the kind of stuff that makes it feel original and fresh still, that this is not just Marvel doing Marvel-y things. This is Marvel delving into a family sitcom in the vein of Kim's Convenience, which is, it's spectacular. It's fantastic. Now, what we do get in this episode is sort of the beginning of the central conflict here. And I think this is a perfect time to introduce it, because obviously we have three full episodes to really resolve it. Unlike other Disney Plus Marvel shows that don't really give it enough time to resolve. And so obviously the Bengal is the MacGuffin. And we have these characters called the Clandestines, who are Jinn, and they're ghosts, basically. It's kind of unclear. I'm not familiar with the actual mythology or history, rather a tradition of the Jinn. So what I was hearing in the show was all new to me, which was really fascinating to hear about. But I don't know if there's more here that might come up, like these are, some interdimensional multiverse things. I don't know. I obviously not in real life, but, tying into the MCU, like, are these these people part of the multiverse or whatever? If you noticed also, by the way, I'll skip ahead to here. These are the 10 rings. I think giving further indication that the Bengal and the 10 rings are somehow interlocked. I think Shang-Chi makes logical sense to I think Wong maybe will kind of get, catch wind of this. That might be a prediction. Maybe I'll make a prediction here, put it on the record, that maybe Wong will find out about Kamal Khan and the Bengal, and will contact Captain Marvel like he did at the end of Shang-Chi. So we'll see about that. I think that actually might be a fun prediction. But anyways, yeah, I think that this idea of returning home, it's almost like the reverse. I was thinking about Spider-Man No Way Home, the idea of returning the villains home. is sort of the reverse, because Kamala's like, wait, I don't want to do this because it might be dangerous, and who, I don't even know these people that well. But the clandestines, or whatever we're gonna call them, these people are hell-bent on getting back to their dimension, and there's mystery here with obviously Kamala's grandmother, or great grandmother rather, I think. I believe, yeah, great grandmother. There's some history there as well. You see that opening flashback in this location here, where it seems like they're on good terms, but then it's revealed they're not, and there's a lot of really fun intrigue going on here. And obviously that it's set up to be like, hey, we're gonna be nice to you at first. I don't remember the character's name. I don't know if she's mentioned. I'm just gonna say Kamran's mom for now. Is talking here to Kamala and being like, hey, we want to help you. You want to help us. You have the Bengal. Let's all help each other. And Kamala's like, yeah, sure. But obviously, they get impatient, which is why they crash the wedding, and you see her powers here. And yeah, I think again that if this show for the first time in the MCU doesn't feel overstuffed yet. Obviously, by the time we get to the episode 5 and we're waiting for episode 6, we might go, yeah, there's too many things going on here, and that's entirely possible. That being said, I don't feel that with this show yet, and that's rare, because by the time I get to episode 3 of Moon Knight, I'm like, oh, there's so many things going on. There's a third personality. Here, I think straightforward is better. I think the idea that we're trying to, the villains want to go home. It's a good motivation. They're pretty brutal though, and I don't know if it's not for no apparent reason necessarily, but they're pretty brutal. Speaking of brutal, by the way, that's a good segue. If I have a picture here, I don't have a picture other than here. Bruno, I can't get enough of this guy. If you guys have seen Kim's Convenience, you'll know the character of Gerald. He reminds me so much of Gerald, but obviously much smarter. But they both play that kind of same goofy side character that's always kind of being picked on in a funny way, but is in love with the main protagonist. And I love this character. This is Marvel knows for the most part how to make really good companion characters. I'm not going to say side characters, because these characters are very important to the main characters. So you have your Ned Leeds and your MJ Watsons and your Nakias and your Brunos, and I mean they just know how to realize rather these characters so well in this show, and I really appreciate that. I really love that about this show. Obviously we get to see a little bit more of her powers. I think this was cool. I think the CGI looked a little better here than it did in episodes 1 and 2, because it was a little more flashy rather than kind of lingering on this. This looks fine in a picture. It didn't look amazing in the actual show, but again, I think the little flashes of the light, it works well. Now obviously here's this, we get the hint of the mask, and she's going to make her own costume, probably out of traditional clothing that they have from the family, is my guess. That would be cool, kind of an integration of superhero costume and superpowers and her family heritage. I don't know enough about the comics to know if that's exactly what happens or anything like that, but I'm just guessing. And the last thing I wanted to say, I don't have it pictured here, but there are 2 scenes in this show, or in this episode, that show that the show is really caring about its characters and the relationships that they have with one another. And it's a scene with Kamala and her mother in the bathroom. That scene was really touching. Where she's talking about her family history, the mother, and where Kamala kind of asks her if there ever was a mountain that she couldn't, overcome, a hurdle. And I thought that scene was great. And I thought the scene with the father and the brother, conversely, was also really great. Just the idea of we choose our family first and we don't worry about these things later, because you chose love, and, things will sort themselves out in the end. I think those scenes are just so amazing. So, because they really humanize the characters, and I just give a depth to them that we didn't really have in any other. I hate to keep saying in any other MCU show, but this is the 5th one, or 6th one, and frankly, there's been too many. It's 6 in a year and a half, and that's crazy. But again, I'm count me pleasantly surprised, because at this rate, and I say this all the time. I say, well, after Moon Knight's episode 1 and 2, at this rate, it's going to be the best MCU show. You can watch my Loki reviews. After I saw episode 2, I said this is the greatest MCU show. I'm becoming a little bit wary of saying that, but I will say that so far I am loving the show, and I can't wait for the next episode. I saw this before the Obi-Wan episode, knowing that the Obi-Wan episode would be longer and would be the finale. But I still I walked into the Obi-Wan episode lingering with that happiness that this show really brings. So I am very much excited and very much looking forward to the rest of this show. I'm just so happy with it. So I wish it was longer. I wish it was a 20 episode sitcom with superpowers. That would just be amazing. But alas, it's the MCU. So